I want you to listen to me and listen to me good. There is a problem when we, the people of this generation, no longer go to church to meet with God. Church is the place, we know that a church is the place where God has chosen to manifest his manifest presence. That is one of the places that we know, we have come to believe and understand that God normally meets with men and showcase his manifest presence in churches. Churches are places where the wisdom of God, the knowledge of God, the mighty things of God are being dispensed. That is why we always call it as a place that is so sacred, a sacred place, a holy ground. So, with that belief, with that understanding that a church is a place that is so holy, so sacred, so honored, because it is one of the places where God has chosen to manifest his manifest presence. It is a place where God's wisdom is being dispensed. It is a place where we know the altar of God. An altar is there, and God as a spirit meets with men. It is a place where men are being taught and are being mentored, are being discipled to be mature Christians and believers in the faith. Now, if our orientation about church in this generation has changed, if the way we perceive, if the way we look at the church, a place where we have lived from the time immemorial to look as a very a sacred place, a sanctified place, a consecrated place where God meets with the man. I'm not saying that God cannot meet with the man in other places. God lives in your heart. God is everywhere. But then places like church are one of the places that he has picked for himself to make manifest his presence to humanity, to men. So there is that kind of orientation, there is that kind of understanding that we always have about and concerning church. There are things that from the time immemorial we have grown knowing that they are not supposed to be done in churches. There are certain behaviors, certain activities, certain vices that are not supposed to be associated with this sacred and a sanctified, a consecrated place called the church. That is what we have been taught. That is what we have been, our forefathers left to us. That is the message that they passed to us. When they were passing the baton, they gave us instructions that this is the place where God normally meets with men. It is like other people from other religion or the spiritualists or the diviners, they always have their shrines where they meet with their spirit, and they have made those places to be so sacred, so consecrated, because it's a place where they meet with the spirit being whom they honor and they reverence so much. It is the same way we as believers and as Christians, when we look at the church, we are seeing a place where God manifests himself, where the wisdom, the knowledge, the might and the greatness of God is made manifest. There are characteristics that are being associated with these places, the church. There is a way a man who lives in the church, a man who is born again, a man who is associated with the church or spirituality should carry himself. Now, there comes a generation that we are in today, that they no longer view, they no longer perceive the church as a holy place. They don't no longer perceive the church as a place where they meet with the all-sufficient God. They no longer perceive church as a place where when they go there, all of their issues, all their burdens, all their pains are going to be casted there, and God is going to uplift those burdens from them. All along we have been praying and we have been singing that cast your burdens on unto Jesus, cast your burdens unto Jesus, come to Jesus and give him your burdens and he will give you his yoke. His yoke is lighter than the one you are carrying. So when you go there, you are running there to meet with him so that you can do an exchange. You give him your weight, you give him your load, you give him your burden, and he gives you his yoke that is lighter, that you can run with. We have been taught, we have read from the Bible, the church is a place where God answers man. It is a place where God changes, rewrites the story of a man. It is a place where God meets with men. Healings are taking place. Mighty miracles are taking place there. God speaks to men there. God changes. I'm not saying God cannot change the situation of a man outside church. But church is one of the places that he has picked, he has chosen to show himself to a generation. Now, an era is here in our generation where we no longer fear the God of the church. We can go to church and be chatting and just doing our things as the sermon is being given, ministrations are there. Like our orientation, this generation, the way we perceive church today is totally different from how we are supposed to look at the church. It is totally different. I don't know if it's because of modernization and the technology around. I don't know, but there is a problem somewhere. A long time ago, people ran to church because they knew that when they go there, they are going to come out with number one, peace. Number two, they are going to come with their answers. Number three, they are going to come when they are light because they have released their burdens and they have met with the all-sufficient God, the all-knowing God, the able God, the God who can do all things exceedingly abundantly than the things that we can think of or imagine of. Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20. God is all powerful. God is all able. That is what we have always known about God. So when a man leaves from his house, from his home to go to church, he knows, he has an understanding that he is going to meet with a God who is going to change the story. God who can write off that debt. God who can heal him from that cancer. God who can open his financial doors, his career doors. God who can rewrite the story of their lineage and background. That is the kind of orientation that we were given, our fathers handed over to us. But unfortunately, what we are going to hand over to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren is different. I want to show you. Men nowadays, they go to church not to meet with the God that can change their stories. They are going there, but they are not going there with a mentality, an understanding that they are going to come out with their miracles. They no longer believe that God is able to do that. They no longer believe, even though they might have a little bit of faith, but they no longer have that great faith that God can do this to me. God can change this thing. God can change this situation. Yes, they believe, but to some extent. To some extent. There are still men of great faith in our territories and in the world today, but they are few. There are few. Many of us who are going to churches today, we are going because maybe we are part of a department, we are leaders, and we don't want to fall into bad books with the man of God. We are going there to honor programs and routines. But in real sense, the essence of going to the places of worship in this generation has been interfered with. It is an era when men nowadays go to church and they remain at the gate of the church waiting to receive alms from the people that come into the church. It is an era. We have just read from the book of John chapter 3 from verse 1 to 10. It talks about the lame man who was always being carried at the gate of the beautiful gate so that he can ask alms from the people that were entering into the church. I want you to understand that this story in the book of John chapter 3 verse 1 to 10 is a reflection. This is a mirror to our current generation. If you are going to understand this story that I'm about to bring to you and the teaching that I'm about to bring to you from this story, then you are going to understand that this is the kind of a generation we are in. There is nothing new in the world. The things that we are going through today had already happened. The kind of a church that we are in today, the kind of a generation that we are having today as we speak, is the kind of generation that was in the book of John chapter 3 from verse 1 to 10. I'm about to show it to you. So it is an error when men nowadays, they no longer go to enter into the church so that they can meet with God that can rewrite their story, God who can heal them, God who can break their bondages. But they go, yes, they go to church, but instead of entering into the church, they remain at the gate. And why are they remaining at the gate? They are remaining at the gate to ask for alms, to ask for, to beg from the people that are entering into the church. These are people that have believed that nowadays the alms, the begging, the money that they are getting from people that they are begging while entering into the church is more important than the God who is in the church inside. They believe that the alms, the money that they are receiving from these people that are begging, that money mean a lot to them. It is more important to them than God because they have waited upon this God. They have trusted this God for a long period of time. They have been in pain. They have been in turmoils, tough times, and they have kept trusting in this God for years, for months, for days, and they have not seen this God coming to answer them. They have not seen a God coming to rescue them. And because when pain extend for a long time, when suffering, when pain extend, when pain stretches for a long period of time, even the man with the greatest faith, his faith can begin to reduce, can begin to go down, because pain, suffering as a way of punishing or frustrating the efforts, the faith of somebody, the ardent belief that somebody is having. When you are going constantly through pain, through suffering, that kind of strength, that kind of hope that you kept having for a better future, as long as you are only going through a lot of pain, suffering, distress for a long period of time, at the end you might keep on holding onto the string. You might hold onto the grip so tight, but as time goes by, days are turning into months, months are turning into years. The faith that was so strong, you begin to lose the grip. You begin to grow weary. You begin to lose hope. That is the same thing that happens when men in our generation today, when they get to our churches and they do not meet with the God that they have been told, they have read that can change their situations. When they go there with their pain, with their suffering, with their challenges, expecting to meet with that God and that God to rewrite that narrative. And when they get there, that God in that church or the God of the Bible does not do what they have been told that God has been doing. That God that they have believed to be breaking yokes and barriers in the lives of people does not break in their life. These people, even though they had believed in this God, they will slowly begin to lose the grip.